Better put on your rain jacket, MBTIers, because if you're dealing with a narcissist, it's going to be a bumpy ride. Ever met someone and their MBTI type is just not cutting it? You know there's something else going on that you can't put your finger on. Why is this person so difficult? Why are they so confusing? Why are they so draining? It's probably because you're dealing with a narcissist, an energy zapper, a mood deflator, a toxic, difficult, mean spirited, hateful, vicious person. Now, I'm not talking about just blatant narcissism. I'm talking about full blown narcissistic personality disorder. So, what does MBTI and narcissistic personality disorder have in common? What they have in common is the personality. Both impact the personality. That's why being around someone with NPD can drive you crazy. You have to walk on eggshells because you don't know when the person is going to attack you, when they're going to put you down, try to degrade you, make you feel stupid, talk down to you like you're an idiot. These people are into the self. How is everything impacting me? It doesn't matter how it's impacting you. They make people feel really bad and crummy about themselves. They're the one with the personality disorder, but by the time they get through with you, you'll be questioning yourself, wondering, hey, what's wrong with me? Did I say the wrong thing? What did I do? I don't know if you've ever had the pleasure of being around someone like that, but I've watched someone like that, and everybody that came across their path, they would deflate them, put them down. So let's talk about MBTI and NPD. So it colors the personality type. Now, what's interesting to me is if you have someone with borderline personality disorder, it is extremely hard to identify an MBTI type because there's issues with the identity. I think a lot of people with narcissistic personality disorder, they have a better handle on who they are and what their personalities are. And you can actually, in my opinion, give them a Myers-Briggs personality type. Most of the narcissists that you're going to be dealing with are probably what I consider to be very high functioning because they can work a full-time job. They can follow some rules. They know what's acceptable and appropriate in specific settings. And you may not even know that they're narcissists because sometimes they can carry on a very normal conversation and you don't suspect anything unless their narcissism is triggered or you're around them a long period of time. Narcissists tend to value and then devalue. So if they're valuing you, you might get treated like you are the queen. And yet there are people who would say the complete opposite, like this person is evil, they're mean. It's because they're devaluing the person. And something happens, you can't do something for them, and there's a good reason why you can't do it for them. Maybe you broke your arm, and now all of a sudden you are devalued. You are the bottom of their foot, and they're gonna make you pay for it. They could also be extremely jealous or envious of you, and just seeing you is a trigger to go off, and you don't know why because it doesn't make sense. Some of them can be great one-on-one, and then you get in front of other people and they try to destroy you and make you feel stupid and weak. And then some narcissists, it's the other way around. They can work you to death because they want you to make them look good. They can be jerks, mean, cruel. They're the kind of people that you walk away from and you're like, why do I always feel so bad when I'm interacting with this person? And you find yourself trying to avoid them, get away from them. You hate to even have to approach them in a conversation. They don't apply the same rules to themselves that they do to other people. They can be extreme workaholics. Now, some of them can be quite independent, getting infuriated if you're asking them if they need help or you try to hold a door for them. They think that you think that they're weak and incapable. Some of these types' favorite word is stupid and idiot. They think everybody is stupid and dumb, and they don't have a great tolerance for what they deem as stupid. And they can have faulty logic and unrealistic expectations for what they want done or what they expect from people. They have a very skewed way of thinking. So do you think that some MBTI types are more susceptible to being a narcissist? I think they all are. I mean, I can name a few types that I've seen actual narcissism on. I've seen it in ENFJs, INTJs, INTPs, ISFJs, ESTJs, ENTJs, ENTPs, INTPs, ISFPs, ESFPs. In order for someone to have narcissistic personality disorder, they must fit the criteria in the DSM-5, which I talk about in some of my other videos on narcissism. I've seen a more dependent type of narcissism on, for example, an ISFJ, where they get very upset if you don't share what you're doing with them, or they can't rely on you for a portion of their work. And so they feel like they're going to be a failure or they're going to look stupid. Then they start going absolutely crazy, or they feel like you like someone more than you like them. They can go nuts. And I've seen a more independent type, like a workaholic, intelligent, bottomless pit workaholic type, where they have to have things to do all the time. Otherwise, they feel like they are worthless, empty, and then they go into their own heads. They don't want to go there because it's not a nice place to visit, because they can get in touch with all of the criticisms and bad things that they think about themselves. I have seen a more independent type on the ENTJ, the ESTJ, but I've also seen a combination type on the INTJ, where you have that workaholic piece, but they're also using people as their extensions. So I'm not working as hard as everyone else, but I'm delving out enough work for each person to be doing the work of 5 to 10 people so that I can look good. And I've also seen combo types of OCD laced in with the narcissism with ENTJs and ESTJs. I've seen on the ISFP, I want to be around successful people to make me feel great, but when you look at what they actually do, it's actually pretty crappy. And you can see some hoarder tendencies. It's kind of interesting how these disorders can interweave. But needless to say, narcissists can also be quite charming, and they can really reel you in, and then they can turn on you. Now, that was just me thinking off the top of my head, but any and all MBTI types can be susceptible to narcissism. But in a nutshell, what creates narcissism, that's why you have to be careful in the earlier years of a kid's life. That's where a lot of damage is done. If the kid has a parent that feels like they can't do anything wrong, they don't set boundaries, there are no rules, there's no discipline. My child doesn't have to follow the same rules as everyone else. A very permissive parenting style. You can also create narcissism with an absentee parent, a parent who puts too much pressure on their kid to perform way above their actual age, like you're in the kindergarten and you need to practice violin for 15 hours a day, or why didn't you win as many awards as that 13-year-old? The kid is taking care of themselves or neglected or left alone all the time. So then they have to create this false sense of adulthood in order to take care of themselves. That combined with a break in the bonding, like if you're bouncing your kid around too much, you're not taking care of your kid, somebody else always is. I'm talking extreme behaviors here. I'm not talking about, okay, mom has to go to work, so you have to go to daycare. I'm talking about a kid that gets dumped somewhere for days, and then they don't see their mom, and then a few days pass and I see my mom again. I also think it's super important for people to educate themselves and learn about narcissism, because those people can do a lot of damage to people. They can be very hurtful. And if you are a normal, conscientious human being who has normal flaws, but these people can break you down and you don't even know why, and you're trying to deal with them like you would any other person, that's not gonna do anything but destroy you. These people have thick coping mechanisms that are helping them, but what do you have? So I think it's important for you to understand who you're dealing with on a daily basis so that you don't allow these people to lower your self-esteem because you don't deserve it. These are very damaged individuals. They may have had a parent who was too punishing, had academic goals that were too impossible for the kid to reach. We have to protect ourselves. Something I've seen in some narcissists is extreme sarcasm. Now, some people are sarcastic and it's just part of their personalities. Sarcasm is a sharp, bitter, or cutting expression or remark. When someone is sarcastic, ridicule or mockery is used harshly. It's sharp speech designed to cut or give pain, and it's the use of remarks that clearly mean the opposite of what they say, made in order to hurt someone's feelings or criticize something in a humorous way. So, sarcasm can be destructive. Sometimes people who use sarcasm feel a lot of hurt inside themselves, and what narcissists want to do is they actually try to make you feel worse to make themselves feel better because deep inside they feel really small. So look at the thinking and feeling function. Some people might resort to saying, well, that thinker is definitely a narcissist because they don't care. And that's not true. We need both in the world. You got to have people who can be subjective about things, and then you've got to have people in the world who think objectively about things. Now, here's where narcissism does come in. If something bad happens to someone, like they have a crisis to happen, it doesn't matter whether you're a thinker or a feeler, you're going to have compassion and empathy for that person. Someone who's a narcissist is going to flee from feelings and they're going to act in an agitated manner. It's intolerable. I don't understand your tears, which some thinkers might say at some point, hey, you're using your tears. We're not talking about that. We're talking about if something really bad happens to somebody, a narcissist is not going to want to hear it. Why? You're taking the attention off of them. Two, they don't know their feelings. They don't understand feelings. They don't get it. They don't have a developed conscience in that way, so they're not going to have empathy for someone who has just experienced a crisis. Well, you just broke your leg. Well, you better figure out how to get down the stairs and get yourself a plate of food because I'm not bringing it to you. Or your kid just got run over by a car. Well, get over it because I need to go to work. Now, some narcissists have learned socially accepted answers like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But you can give them a little test. If they're telling you a story about something that involves emotions, ask them how did it make them feel? And you're going to see them stop in their tracks because they're not going to be able to tell you, I felt sad about that, or angry, or happy. They're not intrinsically in touch with their feelings, so it throws them off. A narcissist's point of view is skewed, so they really don't think in the same way that you do. Sometimes what they're saying or their actions don't make sense, but your mind isn't registering that because it's supposed to be someone that you trust. It's supposed to be a mature adult. And so it just confuses the mind. So where does narcissism impact? It impacts the personality. You have to see difficulty in the personality. That person at some point is going to be very irrational and difficult to get along with. So what is narcissism not? You can't say that because of the way someone looks, because of the way they dress, that means that they're a narcissist. There has to be more than that. There are some MBTI types that are more prone to a hot temper, like extroverted J's. Can you say that because someone has a hot temper that means that they're a narcissist? Absolutely not. Enneagram 8s, the asserter, they use sarcasm sometimes. That does not mean that they are narcissist. Someone has a different perspective, that's a different lens from yours, MBTI-wise. That does not mean that the person is a narcissist. You're going through a breakup or you're going through a divorce, so that person is definitely a narcissist because they did all kinds of horrible things to me. Romantic relationships can be a place where people do a lot of acting out. You're vulnerable. That's a whole different story. There's a lot that goes into that can make people behave badly. If you think this video will be helpful to you or other people, hit the thumbs up button. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you on another video. Thanks for watching Tams PsychAdvice. Bye.